Hello, our YouTubers. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Memory Jogger on Rediscover the 80s. Jason here, Wyatt over there.
I am, and thank you once again for coming along. Trying to churn these out as a little bit more frequently as time permits. But
Mm-hmm.
wanted to give you guys a good shout out and really just thank you for coming along with us. I think, like we've said in the beginning, this was supposed to be just something for you to rekindle, to churn up your own memories in your head, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we do get a few responses, but it's been interesting when you do respond. It the the era, the um, two different parts of the country, or but you can relate to what we're talking about.
Right.
And one of you I think suggested that it was kind of like a good, um, so to speak, history lesson in a manner of speaking. Remembering these times for our kids and so forth. And it's really it's just we never thought of it that way. At least after the first couple episodes, we didn't think,
Mm-hmm.
or the first two rather episodes, we didn't think that way. But it's again, I feel like I'm rambling, but I just want to just ultimately say thank you for coming along this journey of ours, jogging our memories, hoping that we're jogging yours, so that you can think back and going, oh, I remember Nickelodeon. I remember my high school. No, it wasn't as picky, and we didn't have the helium guy, but you can relate to the class clown, for instance, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a great trip, and this one's going to be a fun one too, man. Talking about our old mall and some of the department stores that were in the area and all that, and uh, like he was saying, you might not have grown up in central Pennsylvania like we did, but I'm sure some of the stores we're about to mention reached you, or if you're on the East Coast, or maybe there was some that, national chains like Kmart that were, a lot further west. But yeah, you'll be able to relate, I think, to some of these stores and memories that we'll be talking about tonight. So it was fun. I went down a whole rabbit hole last night when I was doing my research, and I found I was on, I think it's called newspaperarchive.org or .com, and oh my gosh, I was lost on there for about an hour, just like searching myself through the old Progress newspapers.
I need to find that to see if I'm in there. I don't think I'm
uh,
in there.
well, if you ever were ever in the Progress newspaper, but most of mine were being on the honor roll at school. My baseball like stats from playing little league, and well, you were on there at least once because I found our graduation announcement from the school with all of our pictures in there. So yeah,
Newspaper archive, is that what you
I
said?
think yeah, and you have to. There's a premium feature where you can actually see the full scan. Like they only give you a little small picture of the actual page that when you run a search that it's on, but it does give you the text. And the text is kind of off because apparently it's some optical reader or something, because there's all kinds of typos through the text. But when you search the text, you can see, that, oh yeah, I was on that page and for what reason. So it's pretty cool. And there's another one. I think it's just newspapers.com that you can subscribe to, and it's got a ton of just old newspapers scanned in from years and years ago.
Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
just doing
fun.
a quick scan, and I see when I was promoted,
Hmm.
back when I was a tech sergeant, and
Yeah.
some other thing. I think you said it was the graduation.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
okay.
found engage. I think it was an engagement announcement, and when my oldest son was born, there was a. I don't know, I'm not sure why we ran or how they knew. Maybe it was probably my dad or my mom that put in the paper when he was born. Even though we were several years removed from living there,
Right.
or at least I was. But anyway, that's a fun little venture if you guys ever get to check that out, newspaperarchive.com. So anyway, you ready to do this?
I am ready.
Okay. Well, then we're going to go at it here. We're going to jog our memories and hope you'll get some of these memories too. So here we go. Welcome to another episode of Memory Jogger on the Rediscover the 80s podcast. Thank you, everyone, for being here as we jog our memories and run down a few childhood dreams from the 80s and 90s. I am one of your hosts, Jason, at the Savings Place, and down where the toys are is my fellow host, Wyatt. How are you, sir?
Great. Yes, we are using that's kind of an odd, I'll call it a reach for an analogy. But we are going to be talking about strip malls and department stores tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, where the toys are, was the slogan for Hills, which is one of my favorite
right.
stores.
That's why it sounded so familiar. It's been that long.
And the Savings Place was Kmart. That was one of their slogans for a while back in the 80s. So, yeah, that's why I picked those little slogans there to warm us up. But yeah, we're up to episode 19. Our memories of the mall and department stores, shopping places around where we grew up in central Pennsylvania. And man, this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this tonight. We've got a fun show. We've done some research on just our local mall and some of the other stores that were around town. I got lost down a whole rabbit trail on newspaperarchive.com and found when our mall was opened and what stores were there. So this is going to be pretty fun.
Yeah. This is, like I said, this will be interesting, like Jason said. So let's go right into our listener feedback.
Yeah. We've got several people that have been commenting mainly on YouTube. I did not check Facebook or some of the other social media before we went on, but Nick Sullivan commented on our Nickelodeon episode. What? How can you not remember Muppet Babies being on Nickelodeon? They were on Nickelodeon and Nick Jr. all the time back in the 90s. I totally remember watching the Muppet Babies on Nickelodeon. Yeah, I know I watched Nickelodeon in the 90s, so I don't know why that missed me. Maybe I just did not remember specifically watching the Muppet Babies on Nickelodeon, but I do remember watching them in their initial run on Saturday mornings. So, yeah, well, we appreciate the comment. Anytime we need corrected or whatever, feel free to leave a comment saying you guys were way off. And then our buddy Jerospace, who always comments, left us one on the telephone episode.
Yeah, it says, my dad still has a rotary telephone in his garage. It's a real pretty puke yellow color. Laugh out loud. I still want that Garfield phone. Smile. I don't know. I think I'd like the Garfield one. There's a lot of them I'd like to have, but I'm already busting at the seams with space as it is. I don't know if I could do a retro phone.
Do you guys have a home phone or just your cell phones?
We do have a home phone. That was something we added about 2 years ago. We were in the middle of nixing Comcast, went with Verizon, and was, came for all the one. And my wife and I were more and more thinking, if nothing else, for an emergency for my son, who is now 7, just something for him to be able to, at worst, call, at best, call the neighbor. At worst, 911, it's on the fridge, call if you need them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we still have our home phone, but it's tied in through Google Voice. So no 911 service for our phone. But now the boys both have cell phones. So
really?
Yes. We had to do it this year. I held out for the longest time, man. You won't believe how much pressure it is on a kid nowadays to have a cell phone when all your friends do and you're the only one that doesn't. Jackson's been on me for a long time to get him a phone, but now, man, they do. He at the school he's at, every classroom there's a computer station, and all their assignments they can get through Google Classroom on their phone, and sometimes they need their phone to do work. So it really wasn't a wasn't a choice this year. So yeah, so we got more phones than we know what to do with in this place.
Wow, I bet
All
your
right.
phone bill just like quadrupled or something.
Well, I actually get my phone through my office, and I think on Cricket Wireless it was like $25 a line, so that's not bad, man.
Not at all, really.
Yeah,
I've
unlimited too.
we toyed with Cricket and a number of other ones when we, sorry, Bunny Trail guys, but we were in a like a going all over.
Hmm.
We had Sprint because that was the first smartphone my wife had, and it was great on base. But the funny part about living on base was there was like certain areas that were great for signal for different carriers. So like one wall was great
That's
for Sprint,
crazy.
the other wall was great for Verizon. So
That's
I
crazy.
still have my old flip phone Verizon. We finally got her Sprint. It was a decent deal. She had her own little, like half the size of my Note smartphone, and then we moved to this house shortly afterward and couldn't pick up crap. So had to go back to Verizon.
That's crazy.
Luckily, they let us. They allowed us to you know, cut the
Yeah,
contract because we couldn't pick them up, and they were not willing to give us a booster. So
that's
good.
crazy. Yeah, it's luckily we don't have that those kind of issues around here, but that could be frustrating. Well, we've got we usually do an icebreaker, but we figured it'd be fun just to plug RetroCon for our icebreaker this time, just because it's coming up in 2 weeks. I think it's the 13th and 14th of September, and we're planning to be there. I'm flying up, going to stay with Wyatt for a few days, and we're going to get to go on both days on Saturday and Sunday. And I'm trying to get us very last minute tickets to the Cybertronic Spree concert that's Saturday night. So man, I'm so pumped.
Yeah, RetroCon. I told Jason we're going to do this as a spot really for them. Uh, we've been very fortunate since the beginning back in 2015 when they invited us to come up for the Q&A panel for Mask when it was the
Hmm.
30th anniversary then. We were blown away because we got to sit on the panel with Doug Stone, the voice of Matt Tracker, Bruce Sato, and a slew of others. We got to see, uh, I should have had my names up here, the voice of Lion-O, Larry Kenney. We
Hmm.
had the Micro Machine guy.
John
He was there.
Machida. Yep.
Yeah, and just a slew of others. That's the first time we saw the one improv of what's his name, Sergeant Slaughter.
Hmm.
You got his picture with him, and it was
Hmm.
just we were completely blown away by not only that, but the nostalgia that was on every table. I think him and I both wanted to go rent a U-Haul and just ship it all to our house somehow.
I got to
We
be
missed,
very careful.
yes, we missed the next year. I can't remember why, but we missed the next year, and then the following
You
year.
were vacationing at Disney, I believe.
Don't don't blame me.
I definitely am, man.
I probably was. My wife
It
likes
was
to.
that same weekend. Yeah, it
Yeah, my
just
wife
happened to
likes
work
to
out
go
that way.
down. We haven't
Yeah.
done it this last year, but we like to go down, do do a 3/4 day weekend with the Halloween because they do the Halloween trick or
Hmm.
treating special. But yeah, so after that though, we've been doing it ever since.
Yep.
He manages to con his way out of work for the weekend, and
Con, pun intended.
yeah, and then he bribes his wife. I don't know how to be able
Yeah,
to.
that's the true con right there is getting her to agree to be without me for a couple days. Sometimes she's probably like, "Yes, get out of here,"
Yeah.
and other times she's like, "No, you're not leaving."
But see, I say all this to say that it's that impressive when the guy from Alabama comes back up to Pennsylvania just to go for a day, maybe two, at RetroCon to see all this nostalgia, to see the free video game corner, to maybe interact with one or two of the people that they brought. Like last year, it was half the A team. We had
That was
Dwight
2 years ago.
Schultz and Dirk. Was it three?
2 years ago, I
That's
think.
what I said too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Dirk Benedict. I mean, if they would have had Mr. T, it would have been really awesome. But it was still great to see them
Yeah.
and get our pictures in front of the A-Team van that Tony has remade. Uh, just the the sheer genius that and the hard work that Tony and that team puts together to make that a success every year. The only complaint I've ever had is he has to do it whenever all the other conventions are going on at the same time and parking is crap. That's the only
Yeah.
complaint I have. But I mean, good
Maybe
on him.
this year won't be so bad because it is earlier. Usually it's in October, so
Yeah.
maybe that Pokemon convention or whatever the heck goes on every every
Well, it was
Minecraft.
Pokemon with
Minecraft.
Minecraft, yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. Oh my
But
gosh.
and I don't fault him by that by any means. I mean, it's a convention center. They rent it out,
Yeah.
But the funny part is trying to find parking, especially if you take a lunch. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of hit or miss. But just the awesomeness that is RetroCon, and yes, I'm plugging it. I haven't been to much other Comic Cons, so I can't plug them. But this, I think the reason we like this, at least myself, is really because there's a lot of stuff, toys we grew up with that are there for sale that either rekindle our memories or we salivate and decide, okay, do I break the bank today and get
Yeah.
the Smurf game, or do I just bite my lip and say, not this year? You this kind of thing. It's like I said, it's just an awesome time, and that's why we wanted to plug RetroCon again. RetroCon September 13th and 14th. It's at the Philadelphia
Expo Center.
Expo Center, but it's actually in Oaks, Pennsylvania. So go to RetroCons, yes, with an S, .com to get more information, to get the address, and just see if you can get some good whereabouts of who's coming.
Yeah. If you're within a couple hours driving distance, it's totally worth it. Trust me. And we drive about an hour and a half both ways to get there from your place. So, I mean, it's just the wall to wall nostalgia. So many tables, and you really need both days just to make sure you dissect every little corner of that expo center because I just like to take my time and a lot of times we're covering it for Rediscover the 80s or something and I need to be taking pictures and we did a walkthrough video last year or well Bill did as well from Matt Tracker but yeah there's just so much stuff I just love just taking my time. There's no kids around and I can just walk through and not miss any of those little things that might be tucked away in a corner, in this table that's just exploding with whatever, stuff. But and it's fun, like the vendors there too. That some of them will be kind of honed in. Oh, this is the GI Joe guy. He's got all of the GI Joe vehicles and figures and everything from back in the day.
Even that one year, they had the actual flagship.
Oh yeah, it was like open. Yeah, it was for sale
It was like
too.
one item missing or something. I think he said.
Oh my gosh.
Item.
But then there's the vendors that are just a hodgepodge of everything. And they'll have like a dollar bin underneath the table with just tons and tons of figures. Just random stuff. And I love those. I'm a digger. I love digging through stuff to find a little gem, at the bottom of the box.
I need to dig.
So,
I don't usually have the patience because I want to see the next table. I want to see the next table.
Yeah. But, anyway. Yeah, so
I do want to correct myself. It's the 14th and the 15th.
14th and 15th. Okay.
I'm actually on the page now, and I'll highlight who's coming. We got Gil Gerard from Buck Rogers in the 25th century, and I still can't say that right because I want to think of Daffy Duck.
It's actually the
45th and a half century.
Yeah. It's actually the 40th anniversary of Buck Rogers this month. So him and Felix Silla. Right. Who was also on the show. They're both going to be there.
Right. As well as Melody Britt, who played on She-Ra. She was the voice of She-Ra. We got David Kai. He was part of the Beast Wars. He was the voice of Megatron. And I can't read the fine print, but he's part of the newer Transformers he was Optimus Prime for the newer Transformers.
Transformers Animated.
Yep. Animated. We got Robbie Rist. He is the voice of Michelangelo from the actual movie. Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for a late pizza. That's one of the famous quotes. And
Pizza
then
dude's got 30 seconds.
I like that line actually. But yeah, we got just a slew of other items. You got the local guys. You got the Angry Nerd video game guy. We got Mark Watts Gallery. We got a Toy Galaxy. Tim Clark. He is a toy and puppet designer. That actually might be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cybertronic Spree. We've hinted at. They're a great rock band that dresses up as the Autobots and Transformers in general from the '80s. They are sold out of tables, so if you're thinking of selling something, you can't. They have 225 tables of collectibles, is what they have marked here. And then they will have retro rides. It could be anything. I imagine that Tony will bring one of the two vehicles that he has, which is either the Back to the Future DeLorean or his A-Team van. And they always bring the Bill and Ted Excellent phone booth, which is kind of cool to see.
I saw a picture on the Facebook page. I think they're going to have the A-Team van, the DeLorean. There's going to be an Ecto 1. And what was the fourth one I saw? The
Jurassic Park Jeep.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm looking, yeah.
That was there last year as well. So, yeah, man. And, man, that first year that we got, I think it was the first year we were there, and you could sit in the DeLorean. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, I've never sat in a DeLorean. And to be the Back to the Future with all the gadgets and everything on it, the time circuits, and to look back at the flux capacitor, man, that was just fun.
We tried to do our best poster rendition.
Oh, yeah. With the sunglasses, yep.
With the sunglasses and the surprise. Oh, that's fun. But right. Yeah, we'll spend all night on this. But we really wanted to seriously plug RetroCon because they've been taking care of us. We've had a great rapport with them, friendship really with Tony and his lovely wife. It just it's been awesome. Mm-hmm. So,
and we'll be doing a podcast probably soon after, kind of wrapping up things like we normally do. So,
and we might have some Easter eggs. We'll call it with Bill Ferris. So we'll keep, might keep you on edge there.
It's going to be fun. So hope you'll get to join us. But let's say we get to the task at hand here, which is going back in time. How'd you like that segue?
Very nice.
Getting back to what we remember of Clearfield with the local department stores and eventually the mall. Well, the mall was there when, it was not there when we were born, but our earliest memories, it would have been opened and everything. But there were several little stores like in the downtown area that I remember hitting, and you noted a couple of them here. Downtown, we had this 5-story building that was a throwback in the 80s, to those old, the first like department stores where you had the person in the elevator, what floor, and you just had all the different departments, the ladies' clothing and jewelry, and then we'd go up to the next floor, and it might have been furniture and stuff. The 5th floor was the toys. Yep. I do remember that, and the name of the place was called Light Singers. And oh my gosh, going back now, have you been inside recently?
About 3-ish, maybe 4 years ago, we went. Let's see if this pops up for you.
It is now a thrift store.
Yes, and it is. Is it showing? I can't verify.
No,
of course not.
It is a thrift store now. Just 3 of the floors are open. They don't have the full 5 floors, and unfortunately the elevator does not work, so you got to take the stairs. But I remember back in the day, I wanted to ride in that elevator because it was the old-fashioned style. It had the slide like black metal doors that you could see through. And so as you're going up the floors, you could see through the front of the elevator as the floors are going. See check out what's on the other floors there. But yeah, I remember going in there and begging Mom to go up on the 5th floor to check out the toys. And I do remember, I think I bought my Insecticons there back in the day. Because I didn't have too many Transformers, and that just kind of sticks out in my mind that I bought those there. So, do you got memories like that of Light Singers?
I remember going up, just like you. We actually had the guy in the elevator going up, and you say 3rd floor, please, 5th floor, please, or wherever. And obviously, we were begging Mom and Dad, 5th floor, 5th floor, 5th floor. Let's go, toys. Interestingly enough, at the far end of the wing was also their dishware. So it was kind of like their mistake of doing something that, toys are rambunctious, or kids are rambunctious in the toy department. Why would you want to also marry it with the, the dishes?
China, yes.
Yeah. What I remember, I wish the screen share was working. It's not working right now tonight. Maybe if I move things around. What I remember is it had the pneumatic banking system.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember.
I do.
You could not, they didn't have a credit card machine. They didn't even, I think they had a cash drawer, like a small cash drawer, anything serious. They had these pipes. If you've gone through a drive-through, you've seen the pneumatic because you see your cash thing go up and down the tube.
The clear tubes, yeah.
Right. Well, this was in a smaller capsule, about, I don't know if you can see, but about the size of my Dr. Pepper bottle.
There's your screen share.
Now it finally kicked in, this stinking thing. So right now, what you see on the right, that's the pneumatic system. That was the central office where everything came into. Now it's exposed. Back in the day, this was hidden in a room. You didn't even know this existed. And this is Light Singers. This was the tallest building in Clearfield County, except maybe a church steeple here and there. But that was the tallest building.
It was, yeah.
And it was also the only elevator in Clearfield County. So that was the really? I take that back. The hospitals had it, but I think it was one of the first ones. But like I said, you had the guy, maneuvering it and walking around. And so now we have something like this where it's all open, and it's just an antique store and continuing on to an antique store. It's just continually.
Wow, it says that was founded 1882.
Yep. It was, and here's one of the older pictures.
I wonder when
here.
Wonder when that building was built. Probably
it was
in the maybe 40s or 50s.
Well, in this picture, I know it's really small. Let me see if I can blow it up for people.
There it is.
So this is Light Singers Department Store. It's still here. This is Clearfield. What you're seeing is this is photo taken after the 1917 High Opera House fire, which I remember there was an opera house. My dad has told me for years there was an opera house that sat right here. This burn mark was the char from the fire.
Oh, wow.
And that char mark was still there in the 80s. Because my dad would always say, oh, there's the burn mark. And I never put two and two together, until I was a teenager. He goes, oh, yeah, that burn mark. You still see remnants of it. That's when they had a fire. There was an old opera house. Clearfield used to be like huge. There was three opera houses in Clearfield town itself. The Ritz Theater was originally one of the opera houses, I think. But anyway, I mean, that's a whole other episode.
That looks like that picture was taken from the Daimling.
Probably the Daimling Hotel. Yeah, here's the courthouse.
Yeah.
Right here.
Interesting.
So we're going down memory lane here, guys. Sorry. But so this was just an incredible building. I'll turn off screen share while I'm thinking about it. For me, it just fascinated me because you had the departments. I can't remember which floor was what, but I always used to also try to race my parents. They would get on the elevator, and I would try to run up them stairs as fast as I could. I try to beat them, and it was like a half and half. Sometimes I beat them, sometimes I didn't.
Yeah, that was back in the days too, when you say, "Okay, Mom, I'm going to be up on 5th floor," and she go about her shopping business, whatever, on the 1st floor, or 2nd floor, or whatever, and it was perfectly fine that I was off doing my own thing. I mean, a lot of these stores too. I remember like, okay, mom, I'll be in toys, and
Yeah,
she's off here and there, and you didn't have to worry about a lot of what we as parents now worry about. Back in the day. So yeah,
I don't know if screen share is back on. I can't verify. Did it come back on?
no,
Of course not. Um, but nonetheless, there was a picture I was trying to post up here. Um, Showed the different levels, and I still remember the first floor was almost like a split floor.
yep, it
You
still
walked in the
is.
main area. I want to say there was like what am I thinking? The jewelry department.
Yeah, jewelry was first you walk in. Those glass cases are still there too.
Yeah. If you
They
walked
use
up,
those in the thrift store.
yeah. So if you walked up the little half floor, is what I called it.
Yeah,
That was the
split
shoe
level.
department.
Mm-hmm.
And then you actually walked up the actual set of stairs, and then it was a full room, the next subsequent floors.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's right.
um, but yeah,
Let's
that was
keep
Lightsingers.
let's keep going, man, because we got a lot of stores to get through.
Yeah. I remember going to a little department store called McCrory's Five and Dime. It was just down the street on the other side. If you remember where Bob's Army and Navy
Yep.
is, it's now, I can't remember what, I think it's the,
Is it a lawyer or something down there?
I think he's in there. Yeah, it's a lawyer's office now
Mm-hmm.
that's in there. But it was,
I was thinking that was maybe like well, it was I guess a pseudo department store, but more of a like a drugstore, traditional like drugstore, right? And
I can't
other
remember if it had a
things.
drugstore. I remember only being in there twice. Um,
Yeah, I can't
and,
remember being
and the
there a
only
lot
thing I
myself.
remember about being in that building, I want to say it was kind of like what we would call the equivalent of these dollar bargain or dollar stores. It
Yeah,
was more cheaper stuff, but you could find some niche stuff in there that Lightsingers or even the
right.
bigger departments malls might not have. But there was this room, and I don't know why it still sticks out in my head, but it was a little tiny room, like right off the side, narrow. It looked like a small closet style door. And I don't know if it led to the restrooms or offices or something, but that was something that stuck out
Hmm.
that I still remember to this day. Do you remember McCrory's much at all?
Not just basically where it's located
Okay.
or where it was located. So don't have any memories going in there much at all. What's this JC Murphy
GC Murphy was
or
another
GC
five and
Murphy?
yeah, it was another five and dime. I'm hoping that screen share popped up. Did it?
No.
Oh, geez. So I don't know what's going on with my screen share today. So anyway, it was a.
Where was this one at?
Do you remember? It was at the corner on the opposite side of Lightsingers.
Okay. What
There's
used
a
to
corner.
be a Dollar General. It's not there anymore, though, I don't
No,
think.
it's not down there. It is now a what you call it?
Is it a restaurant?
It's a bakery. It's a
Oh, bakery.
bakery, and it's subdivided now. It's now there's a State Farm Insurance, I think,
Hmm.
and maybe a beauty salon or nail salon, something in there.
I vaguely remember being in there. I probably when it was this GC Murphy, but I don't remember uh, much really about that one.
I remember it had a basement in it, and it was like right dead center as you walked in the store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was a huge set of, I mean, huge set of stairs, like a I don't know, I might be reaching, but like a I don't know, 10 foot, 12 foot length of stairway down. It wasn't like the typical 3 to 4 foot stairwell. It
Hmm.
was a serious stairwell. And early on, I remember we could go down there for something. I don't know what was down there for basement. Maybe bargain basement. I don't know. Um, but then years later, that wasn't safe. They actually cordoned it off,
Mm.
and we couldn't go down there. And then shortly after that, it was um, vacated. JC GC Murphy disappeared, and that I don't know if it's the same company. The history that I've read, GC Murphy is the same guy that owned Murphy Mart.
Okay.
So I
So
don't know if
maybe
he
they
had.
moved.
Well, that's what I thought, but I remember GC Murphy being in place as well as Murphy's Mart
Hmm.
back in the mall, but it's not there now. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I think
let's
that
go.
leads us to our malls, doesn't it?
Yeah, there was a few more stores I'll just throw out there before we get to our mall. But we had a Kmart, and I remember going in there quite a bit back when they had the old blue light special.
Yep.
And I want to say, well, maybe that was when they moved down to the bigger building because they were there was a strip mall. That was where they had County Market, and there was several stores in between. I think I got my first pair of glasses in there at
Yep.
the
Wise eyes.
Wise Eyes. There was a record store in there too, but Kmart was the driver really at that strip mall. And I remember going in, they had that machine. They had that machine with the chicken that laid the eggs
Hmm.
that you could get, and they had the little prizes inside. I don't even remember what the prizes were, but for some reason, when I think about that Kmart, it was right there. But I remember then they built a super Kmart just down the way from where the original one was, which is now a Big Lots, and the Big K is now a
Rural King.
Royal King. Yes. Then they had a little Caesars in there. I remember they put a little Caesars in there. They sold the icy brand drinks, the like Slurpees,
Yeah.
the icy brand with the polar bear on the side. And I remember walking in there and just begging mom for an icy. And then yeah, that was back when Little Caesars kind of hit it. And you'd walk in, you'd like smell the pizza, and
Oh yeah. That's
that
it.
was big back in the day with department stores. You know, most of them had a snack bar, and you walk in, you're either smelling popcorn or whatever they had to offer that day, or which different things at different stores. But that was a big part of it too. You know, you think about department stores back in the day, it was truly you know separated out with every bit of the clothing and the toys and the full like hardware and all that section, and then they always had like a snack area, and you just wanted to visit the whole store. Now
Oh
we're
yeah.
just nowadays you're like, let me get in, get out as fast as I can, and
That's
try to
me.
try to find a lane that's open. And back in the day, I don't know, it just seemed like you didn't care. You didn't care about any of that. You just wanted to go in, and it was like a whole experience visiting a department store. But we had Kmart, and then, like I said at the top of the show when we were doing our intro, Hills was just there was this aura about going to Hills. And Hills, we had to drive to State College to visit Hills, and I remember just several trips. And we only went there a couple times a year, so
Mm.
and it was usually getting towards Christmas and all that, and they had that jingle that they would play on the TV with that little elf.
Oh yeah.
Hills is where the toys are, and oh gosh, I just loved Hills so much. Um, do you know they make a Hills snack bar scented candle?
No.
They do. I
Jeez.
swear to you. Yeah, Mickey, who I podcast with over on the Retro Network, he told me about it. I had to look it up, and oh my gosh, it just that cracked me up because Hills had a pretty big snack bar area when you walked in. So yeah, I've got a lot of good memories about those trips to Hills, and then to Altoona. We'd go down there. They had the Toys R Us, but they also had Value City, which was like a Big Lots of the time. And then some other ones we'd go over to the Du Bois Mall to Monkey Ward, as we called it,
Yeah.
Montgomery Ward. And uh, after Murphy's Mart went out or was bought out or whatever, we had the Ames there too. So those were, I guess, kind of the department stores within driving distance of us there in PA. Any other ones that you remember not specifically tied to the mall?
Uh, not really. The ones that I could think of, like I said, were already McCrory's and GC Murphy's rather. The
Hmm.
Kmart. The one thing I do remember this, I know we've talked about it, I think during school days, was when they were building the Super K. We were in high school at the time, and there was this helicopter that looked quite a bit like the Riptide helicopter, the one that you see him slap it to get it to go, slap the control panel rather.
Uh,
Um, I remember it carrying the HVAC system, and them dropping it, I'm sure, on top of the roof to get it to connect it up. But um, other than that, I mean, Kmart. If it wasn't Ames, you went to Kmart. That was the only two big, huge stores you
yeah.
had in the area. If you were fortunate enough to go, to Hills or Logan Valley Mall, which we'll talk about in a minute, that was a big. I mean, you were going to the Cadillac version of department stores when you went to those ones. So
Yeah.
it had to be a special treat to go over there, or a real reason to go that far because, at least my parents' mind, it was just easier to just go to one or the other or Lightsingers, right?
Hmm.
To get whatever we needed. There wasn't too much really in between unless you went to Du Bois. Du Bois just had a little bit more in their mall, but not
Yeah.
by a whole lot.
It was
Uh,
about the same though. I mean, it was as far as what they could offer.
right.
Um, just a couple extra stores there in the mall. And the malls back then were, and we didn't have like a 2-story, 3-story mall
Mm-mm.
close to us, like we'll talk about here in a minute. But like the Du Bois Mall, that was just a little bit extra uh, area, square feet that you could, put these little specialty stores in there. But our mall, yeah, it's still there. It's still hanging on by a thread. I was doing my research last night. The Clearfield Mall opened in 1978, and it was funny, like reading in the progress. They'd have several stories. Clearfield Mall's 25% done. Clearfield Mall is 45% done. Clearfield Mall is 75% done. It was like every week they would update its progress, or a couple of weeks, and then they'd give you it's supposed to open in spring of 78, and then they got pushed back, and some of the stores opened like in September, October 78, and I think it wasn't until 79 that maybe Jcpenney opened, something like that, just from what I was reading. But yeah, it's basically just you had two main stores there when it opened. On one end was Murphy's Mart, and then on the other end was Jcpenney.
That's
And
right.
then you had this little, it was pretty much a straight shot, but then you had another little Y. There was like a Y intersection at the other end that went back into a smaller little alcove there. So it was pretty much a straightforward plan, and people would walk back and forth through there, and there were stores, little specialty stores between the two main stores, which we can kind of run down this list here. But yeah, I got so many memories. After my parents divorced and mom got that apartment right there on Dory Street Extension, I could walk over there to the mall, cross the 322 highway carefully, and then walk through the parking lot and head over to the mall, and mainly to Ames,
Right.
and check things out in there. But it was really neat being that close to a mall and the arcade too. I was either in Ames or I was at the arcade on the other end. But
I I didn't visit the arcade all that much. I remember going there once or twice, but my parents were oddly enough not fans of that arcade. I don't know what it was about that one. Du Bois was better and okay than that one. So I
yeah,
maybe it's just that they had the mentality of you wasted money, but I don't remember why.
it was not a waste to me.
Yeah,
That arcade, yeah, I mean, Du Bois had a bigger arcade, but that one still had some of my favorite all-time games in there. Outrun, it had the stand-up outrun where the wheel vibrated when you got off the road.
yep.
Golden Axe, it had the WWF Superstars, POW. Altered Beast, all those were in there. And do you remember this was the cool thing about the arcade. You go in there and you buy a soda. And when you buy a soda, underneath the pop tab is a token. So you
Mm-hmm.
got a free play when you bought a soda for 50 cents. You got a token for the arcade, which was really cool. So I always bought a soda when I was in there and would get an extra free play because it was one of those where you had to change out your money to get the
Right.
tokens. So oh yeah, that was a really great place just to hang out and play those fun games. But yeah, there was a lot of stores in there. Let's just run down the list. I remember my mom going to the mall mainly to go to Fashion Bug. She was in Fashion Bug so much, and it was always all right. I'm going into Fashion Bug. I'll be at fill in the blank, whatever other store.
Yeah.
uh, she loved to shop at Fashion Bug, and I think that held on for a good long while before it went under. I can't remember when Fashion Bug went under, but they added there was like a Fashion Bug Plus too, so they added there
Yep.
was like a second section there. So it was a pretty big store back in the day. And there's one that's still there that's original. Can you believe it?
Really?
That's the next one on the list. GNC is still there.
It. I'm surprised it's still hanging on over there. Especially since we'll mention it in a little bit, but Jcpenney's finally decided to.
Yeah, that was just in
get
the
out of it.
last couple of years. GNC is still there. So I don't know, man. They must be dealing drugs out the back or something
Well,
to stay open all this time.
do you remember back in the day? I remember doing this all the time, especially when it's in its heyday. They always had the sunflower seeds.
Mm-hmm.
They was always giving them away, and always,
Yeah.
I always tried to find a way to come back, to keep coming back as somehow as a different kid or playing dumb. Like I know I didn't get a spoonful already.
Gotta
I like
get
your
you some
sunflower seeds.
flowers.
Just give me the whole
Yeah.
bag. I'll be good.
Well,
But
we kind of skipped over because Murphy's Mart became Ames,
hmm
and it's now an Ollie's if you go back to the mall nowadays. But I can't remember exactly when Ames came in. It had to have been into like I don't know mid '80s or and Murphy's Mart didn't hang on for that long because I
no, it
remember
didn't.
getting a lot of my toys there, and when it was an Ames, GI Joes, and I bought a one of the Karate Kid figures there, the one where he broke the ice.
Yep.
He had that chopping motion. Remember buying that at Ames, and yeah, and I didn't realize until this year that Ames was combined or was bought out by Hills at one point,
I
or
didn't
one
hear
or
that.
the other, or maybe Ames bought out Hills. I think that was it. But anyway, those two were connected for a while before they went under.
Yeah.
So lots of good memories at Ames.
Yeah. And then we have our one of our favorite places, which was the National Record Mart.
Yes, NRM.
Yeah. I
Uh,
went through there. I never bought until I was a teenager. I never bought my own music. Um, I mentioned before my dad was very restricted when it came to like rock and pop. Um, but even then, we didn't have much. What we did have was LPs. I still had the big old LP records, that
mhm.
my dad had. Um, Waylon Jennings was one of my favorites, probably because of Dukes of Hazzard. But I had that I used to play. But we never had really too many cassettes or anything of the like until I was a teenager. Then I started buying the cassettes. I think I bought a couple cassettes there at NRM. I want to say I started buying more at Kmart because they were probably cheaper. Um,
Yeah, Kmart had some. There was also another. Excuse me. There was also another record store right there beside County Market for a while.
there was. I can't remember the name of it, but yes, there
I
was.
remember buying. I remember buying CDs there. So it was probably in the earlier '90s when I was shopping there. But NRM, yeah, I remember going in. You remember back in the day when the security device for a cassette, it was that big long like plastic thing that they
Mm-hmm.
needed a key to unlock to get the cassette out,
Oh yeah.
It was the most ridiculous thing. But yeah, I remember that's what I remember kind of about NRM was with like those rows of cassettes and those plastic containers standing up,
Oh
at
yeah.
in the shelf. Uh, yeah, I didn't. I mean, my mom bought a lot of 45 records back in the early 80s. I don't know where she got those from. If it was from NRM, it could have been. And I would spin those in the living room mainly. And then she never bought albums. She was always about, I like this song and I'm going to hear this particular song and I don't care about buying the whole album. So she'd buy 45s and then she'd buy the cassette singles, what I call cassingles. I still have a bunch of those, the ones that I bought and also some that she bought back in the day, still saved. So
Yeah, we
yeah,
shared that on our tapes
yeah,
mixtape episode.
it was all about the singles for some reason for her. And then we had Radio Shack was in there for a long time.
It was, but it actually started out in town. It was in a what looked like a house to me, just short of the Progress. It sat there for the
Oh,
longest
really?
time. Yeah, I wish I would have thought about it. Um, I still have tucked away, I think, in a junk box not too far, the old handheld electronic games. It's
Oh,
the
yes.
solitaire game, and it
Yeah.
still works. I've had that for geez, since it was in that building. I think that's where my dad bought my TI-99 back in the day. My
Oh,
Texas
yeah.
Instruments
Yeah.
was in
I
that
wouldn't be
building.
surprised.
I bought a set of headset walkie-talkies for hunting out there. You and I got to use that at least on one episode of
Yes.
hunting.
We
You
haven't
and I
talked
were too
about our
busy.
hunting.
You and I were too busy joking around to really hunt.
Yeah. We haven't talked about our hunting memories.
Yeah, we
That might
did.
be a good episode. But yeah, Radio Shack was the place to be, man, for all those little handheld LCD games and the radio control cars.
Hmm.
I don't know where the one that I had came from, if it was from there or maybe from the Sears catalog or something. But yeah, they had all the electronics back in the day. That was where you went.
Yeah,
So we had Radio Shack, and then we had
had a Hallmark that stood the
all the
test of times for geez, what
yeah,
just about as long as Ollie's and Murphy Mart or sorry, Ames rather.
yeah,
They were there for quite some time, and then they finally pulled out of there. Just can't remember how long. It's been a few years, but they were in there for quite some time.
yeah.
I remember always told not to go in there, or if you do, make sure you're keep your hands to yourself because you knock over the, the
They had all the little knickknacks and stuff in there. Yeah,
oh yeah.
breakables. I didn't go in there much, and ours just went out here maybe I don't know 2 years ago, and I just blame social media for killing Hallmark. Nobody sends cards anymore, and it was all just
You know,
gifts
it,
and knickknacks. But
you say that my wife and I have been going through this in our head for the last year. Why buy cards? Because they're gonna throw it away. But if you don't send a card, people don't think you care. So we get into this. Okay, I'm gonna throw $3 to $5 at something that's gonna be chucked in a matter of 30 seconds.
right,
So,
I,
but we still do it. We still do thank you cards periodically. We'll do happy birthday cards. We've gone to the looking down the cheap aisle that's not like 3.99. It's 3.99 or less or something like that. I got into the buying it in bulk, the little tiny
yeah.
guys. I mean, but yes, you're right. And now we do social media, say happy birthday with a million exclamation points behind it, and call it good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a different time, man, because
It is.
and it's a generational thing too, because if I don't send my dad a Father's Day card, he's going to be pissed. And it's just that whole era that he was around. When you send the card, it means something.
Oh yeah.
And now it's just quicker, easier, whatever you want to call it, to just send somebody a message on Facebook, or whatever. That's what I use Facebook now for anyway, is just to say happy birthday.
Pretty
I,
much.
I don't do a lot on Facebook much of any anymore, but
Have the time
yeah,
anymore to
I
do
think
much.
that's part of what happened with Hallmark, just kind of
Mhm.
going it's different times,
That's right. But
Yeah,
it's
and there.
also
Go
that
ahead.
moves us on to Joanne Fabrics. That's
Mm-hmm.
another one that's I'm still surprised they're still around. I know back in the day, my mom used to make a lot of clothes or things for us. Uh, it was she was big into sewing and uh, crocheting and the whole nine, the whole gamut. She loved doing that stuff. Her house is filled with stitch work. She made this clock. I still remember. It's a strawberry looking clock. She loved strawberries, and it's I don't know an 8x12 or 8x11 type case. It was all stitch work.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it says. I would probably say I think it's like the bless his house prayer. I think, but then there's a clock in front of it. I mean, she's made tons of stuff. She's made certain clothes of ours, hats, you name it. She's probably made it, and I know she hit that place up quite a bit. Um, but yeah, I remember it being around for at least a good while.
Yeah, I don't remember being in there much at all. I think mom did do some crochet work, mainly like blankets, Afghans, whatever you want to call them, that type of thing. She would try to do and pot holders and little things, but nothing too big uh, to for us to be in that store much. There was a National Bank of the Commonwealth in the mall when it opened. It was
That was
there for
there.
quite a while too. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
I
one of the
don't.
anchor stores I call it, where it was
Yeah,
just there. It never seemed to falter, and it's now gone too.
yeah. It's now the driver's license center. I think is where
It
the.
is. You're right.
So that was there, and then one of our favorite treat places was down right at the like crossroads right there where you
Yeah,
go either go to Jcpenney or you go to the arcade.
right. And it was kind of on a corner-ish. Think of it as the mall was kind of like a T, but I'll call it more like a funky T because if you're looking at it from an aerial photo, you've got this kind of wedge, a slight wedge like this
Yeah.
for that left wing. This is the wing. If you're going to go to the arcade place, there's a pizza place down there and so forth. But when you made the right to Jcpenney's. Well, there was this kind of, I call it a bank corner that was there. And that was where they put that Dapper Dan, which was pretty interesting in itself. But I remember only getting ice cream there a couple of times. I want to say that my dad thought that they were the most expensive place, so we would go to the alternative of either DQ or down Old Town Road Dairy because it was probably cheaper. Uh, I, I I vaguely remember that's why we avoided that place if we could, but
Well,
I'm
they
sure.
had. I know we were there quite a bit because Dad went there because they had the Hershey's ice cream, the the hard ice cream, not the
Oh,
soft serve.
oh yeah,
He wasn't any about having any of that soft serve crap, man. He wanted that Hershey's ice cream. We'd go there and we'd get a couple scoops, and oh my gosh, so good. Mint chocolate chip. I always went for the mint chocolate chip.
I still can't do that mix of mint and chocolate. Every time I see those
Good.
York peppermint patty commercials, I'm like, bleh, don't even just gag me right
Oh
now.
man, I love those. Those are so great. Taste the what was it? Taste the sensation.
You can have that sensation of puking in the friggin' toilet.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, so go
Yeah, and
ahead.
then there was a right across from Dapper Dan's. As you're going down the hallway, the main hallway there, you'd pretty much run right into a Foot Locker.
It was
And
there for
I
quite some time too.
I remember buying shoes in there, my basketball sneakers. I bought a pair of the Reebok pumps. Remember those that
Oh yeah,
you pumped up the tongue, yeah, to tighten up your shoes. I bought a pair there. I still have a jersey, a football jersey that I bought there. I was big. This was back when the Steelers were crap, and I became a Raiders fan for a while. I bought a Tim Brown jersey there. I still have it, and I will still wear it from time to time when the weather allows here in the the hot part of the country. But I was in Foot Locker quite a bit, oogling over the shoes and You know, every once in a while when I needed a new pair for basketball. That's pretty much where I was. So yeah,
Do you
that was a
remember just
good
on the
store.
opposite side of it just hit me on the opposite side of um, Foot Locker, there was kind of like this L, like a seating area. I think it was just a void.
Mm-hmm.
But during the fall, late fall, winter months, that's where the Hillshire Farms would set up.
Yes. Yes, that's right. Yeah, it was just kind of they had some like little quarter or dime like gumball machines and stuff there, I think. But
Rides. Yep.
those little rides that they would put in malls. But
Just to go
yes,
up and down a little bit. Yeah.
I do remember, yes,
Yep.
when is it what was it?
Yeah.
Hickory
Hillshire
Farm?
Farms would come in with
Hillshire.
their freaking foot long or
Summer
so summer
summer
sausage.
sausage and all the different little gift packs you could get, for people with the cheeses and the crackers and the sausage and oh yes. Love that stuff. And they always put in those little strawberry candies, remember? That look like a strawberry, the wrapper,
Oh yeah, yeah,
red on
yeah.
the bottom, green on the top. Those were always hidden in those little gift packs. So yeah, man.
That's a good
Oh,
memory.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that
And then
leads us
yeah.
off over to the other anchor store we call it is Jcpenney. That was more of obviously a clothing place, maybe some finer jewelry of the
Mm-hmm.
area. Um, Funny story, uh, my wife had and I had just been married not even a year. It's our first Christmas. We go up for Thanksgiving to my parents, first time. And my wife is big into Black Friday, and she failed to tell me this before we signed the paper. So I'm just saying. So she wants to go do the freaking Black Friday, and I've avoided. One, I've just never been interested. I'm not a fan of crowds anyway. So fast forward, here we are. We're Black Friday shopping. We've gone. We've hit Walmart already, which Walmart is relatively new to the area. It came just as we were graduating high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we bought a TV there, and we're now going over to Jcpenney. She wants to see the sales there. Why stay in the truck to watch the TV? Of course, think people are gonna pull it out of the truck bed or something. She goes in. I wish I just would have walked in with my. I didn't have a smartphone, but a camera or something just to do this. This would be one of those. I think a viral video. She walks in, walks around, and it's obviously very small from what she's compared to or used to, being in New Jersey. And she goes, "Where's your second floor?" And there's this woman that's okay. So my wife is Brazilian, so she has a little bit of the what we call the broken English. She's not right quite there yet. She's improved leaps and bounds, but it's still the whole. Excuse me, where is your second floor? And we got kind of country bumpkin ish Pennsylvania up there going, what y'all talking about? There's no second floor here, ma'am. And what? There's no second floor? She just can't believe there's no second floor in this mall. So she comes out and tells me the whole story, and I'm just rolling and going, geez, do you not see that this is one story? This whole mall is one story. She goes, you should have told me. I said, you never asked either. And I'm just rolling in the car or the truck
Yeah,
about this. So yes,
that's
this is
funny.
all one story mall. This is a indoor strip mall, is what some people have coined it.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't much to this J.C. Penney's except one little loop. You went there for the fancier clothes, like I said. If Fashion Bug didn't have it, you went there for the fancier jewelry. Maybe you buy the Levi's there versus the Wrangler or lesser known, the cheaper brands at
Panama
Kmart or whatever.
Jack. Remember Panama Jack?
Yeah.
I remember buying some Panama Jack stuff there.
So that's what I mean. That's all there was to it. It wasn't that much really to
Yeah,
our Clearfield, well, J.C. Penney's rather.
yeah, yeah. I remember clothes shopping in there for school and occasionally getting a T-shirt or something like that. From Jcpenney. Um, Another store we had was Visions of Video, which
Yes.
was rentals and electronics. Now this was down near the arcade, right?
Yes. It was on
On
the
the
opposite side, I think.
Okay. I was trying to remember exactly where it was because I don't have too many memories about of being in there and
Nor do
renting.
I. You know what's funny? I don't have we stopped about where that Foot Locker was. Only a few times do I remember going down that left wing, I call it,
Hmm.
where you had the arcades, where you had the restroom. That's where the restrooms were. But
Right.
if you didn't go into the Ames or the Jcpenney's, you had the actual Universal Mall restrooms, which
Right.
were, if I remember, they weren't all that great a shape then. Um, but yeah, Visions of Video was down there. There was you
There
have
was
a pet
the
place down
Yeah, the
there,
pet
travel
place
agency
was I think I think Pet Place came
after.
later
Yeah,
because there was I don't know if the Jones Way bookstore was there. I was trying to remember which store was on the left, that first store there. I
I
think
don't
it might have
remember.
been the
I don't even
bookstore to
remember the
begin with.
bookstore. To be really honest, I don't remember that bookstore being there.
But that there was a I think that became Pet Place, and that was your kind of traditional pet store for the area. And then the arcade was down there on the left, and then there was a travel agency over there as well. I think that might have been the first one you hit on the right, and then there's that pizza restaurant. I think
Yeah,
that was on the very end, if I do remember right.
yeah, it was on the very end next to your arcade. It was on the arcade side.
Okay, okay,
And then there was a Rite Aid there just before we make the left turn or whatever. It's on the opposite of Dapper Dan's. There was a Rite
yes,
Aid
that's
in the
right.
mall.
Yeah,
So that was obviously your drugstore. You could get if you couldn't find it in Ames, you could find it in there, just like any
yeah.
like the dollar places. Um, and that's really all there was
That
to the Clearfield Mall. I
yeah.
mean, we had the add-on. I call it the parking lot stores. So you had Riverside, which was a grocery store that turned
Mm-hmm.
into Bilo, and now it's a Peebles. And I'm just learning that Peebles is going out of business. It's going to be called something else now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Where our Pizza Hut is now.
that's where the pizza. They kind of like knifed part of the building off of Peebles, and now it's like a almost like a deep plaza looking.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been in that one yet. I have no idea what it's like.
I've
And
been
then
in there once.
yeah, and
So.
then on the opposite side of that property, you have the Long John Silver's that's been there for forever and a day,
Mm-hmm.
and right behind it is something relatively new to us, which is an AutoZone.
Yep.
They took over that part of the parking lot, but all that that's really that was our town mall of
Mm-hmm.
Clearfield was that was it. And then you had, like as we said, the Kmart Plaza is what it's called on the other side of the highway.
Where did you? I'm trying to remember because I know you met Kit when you were a kid. Where was that? Was that at the mall?
Nope. That was in the Indiana Mall. There's an
Oh, okay.
Indiana, Pennsylvania. There was a bigger mall there. I also met, and this is the kid in me, right? I remember walking past the A-Team van then. And that A-Team van was like, so who cares? Because it's not kid, it's not talking.
Yeah.
And we walked, I remember we turned a little corner. And I want to say it was like in the center, or at least a center area of the mall. And there's Kit. And I still remember quite a bit. My dad was like flustered about having to pay for the Polaroid, which is what the picture was, is on Polaroid that they paid for. But he ended up doing it. They said, don't push any buttons, which was hilarious because I'm sitting.
Well, yeah. Tell a kid not to push the buttons when you're sitting inside
Well,
Kit.
and I was pretty obedient. I didn't, but I'm like, what is this a real Kit? If I hit turbo boost, will it actually jump? Um, but what I do remember is it was the old season one monitor or dashboard rather. It had the static on the monitors, so you actually had snow on the monitors. You had the light going, which did not go in time with the voice at all. It was just flashing, and it was you could tell it was a tape deck on loop because
Uh,
you hear them talking, but the light's still going,
wasn't
and
synced up. Yeah.
yeah, whatsoever. So I remember that. Then we took our picture, walked out, we took a front picture of me in front of Kit. I remember looking in the hood crack, I guess is what's the best way to put it. And I swear I saw what looked like um, regular old house bulbs, light bulbs for the sensing light out in front. Not regular, not the like smaller lights. And it could be when I was a kid, that's what it looked like to me. It's like someone figured out how to put, 60-watt bulbs behind the thing. And then I saw the night license plate on the back. That's what I remember.
I
Yes.
was for some
All
reason
that
I
to
was
say, I was in
thinking,
the Indiana Mall.
yeah.
I
For
kick
some
myself
reason
now that I did take
there.
pictures in front of the A-Team van, but you know,
Eh,
I don't know, 8 maybe. I don't remember how old I was.
yeah, yeah. I was trying to remember if there's any other little promotional things like that they did at the mall to get us to go there, but
Not too
I
many if
couldn't
there
remember.
were. Where they'd have like little things. They'd have the Easter egg hunt. They'd take out basically the most, like I want to say a good portion of the main hallway there. Uh, Maybe a storefront or two space, and they'd have hay strewn about,
That's right.
and
Yes,
then it was Easter eggs, and it was a free for all.
that's right. I do remember that. Wow,
Yeah.
that was good. Yeah,
I
but
don't.
then we had. Go ahead.
No, I said I don't remember much else really in that mall.
Yeah, we did have some malls though. With I remember driving to. We like we said the Du Bois Mall. There was a few stores in there that I would love to go in. One was obviously the arcade. It was a little bit bigger
Oh
arcade,
yeah.
and I remember at one point there was this game that they brought in. I don't know how much it was to play. I was thinking it was like at least 50 cents, maybe a dollar. But they put it right in the middle of the arcade, and it was like this holographic images that would pop up and talk. And I don't know how you played the game itself if you could control those, but it was like a projection type thing, and everybody was just swooning about it. But I wish I could remember what that was. It was pretty cool. But that one I remember going in playing the Super Off Road. You remember that one with
Oh
the four
yes.
player Ivan? What was his name? I can't remember. That was a fun game. I remember playing in there, and they had the classics in there. Like I remember playing Excite Bike.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to remember all what was in there. I think they had Smash TV, if you remember that one. That was pretty popular. But yeah, I wanted to go to the arcade, and then Gardner's Candies. Oh my gosh, just to walk inside there and just the smell was an experience unlike any other.
Oh
And
yes.
I think it was just maybe within the last year or two they moved out of the mall, and they're over there by where the going down towards Walmart is, and another
That's what
little
I've heard.
strip
I
mall.
haven't been there, so I don't remember.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. We went to the Du Bois Mall when we were home back in what was it, June or July for July 4th, and I could see the outline of Gardner's, the sign. The letters had been taken down. I was like, no.
Yep.
But that was, and then the Valley Dairy in there too, which I think you added to the list here. That was another one of those places that we'd go in there every once in a while and eat while we were, if it was going to be a long shopping day or something. It was like a traditional like diner and a
Hmm.
dairy, and they had there was like two ends to it, right? So it went like through. One side was more, I think, where you had your ice cream and stuff, and then the other side was the diner sit down type area. And I think they had a traditional like a diner bar that you could sit at as well, if I remember right.
Uh, the there were you talking about the Garner's Candy?
No, the Valley Dairy.
Yeah, the Valley Dairy. Yeah, yeah, you're right. They had the like little stool
Mm.
bar that was in there. I think it's still there to this day. They had we've had a Montgomery Wards.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. It's funny. A lot of people give a lot of respect to Montgomery Wards in their products, and it's funny that it's all the same. It's just remade stuff. My dad swears up and down that Roper was the main brand for a lot of the uh, lawnmowers.
Mm-hmm.
But still, he will say, even though Roper made, Montgomery Ward or made the Craftsman mowers or some other brand that we know, he
Yeah.
swears that the Montgomery Ward tractors were still a better. It's like buying the Cadillac version versus the Chevy version of whatever. But he holds a high regard with Montgomery Ward, and it was a sad day when that closed out of Du Bois.
Yeah.
Sears
Yeah.
was up there too.
That's right. It
There's
was.
actually a little tiny Sears there next door to the Lightsingers there in
That's
Clearfield.
right. Yeah, that was like almost like a satellite location where
Yeah.
you'd go up and order your stuff out of the catalog or pick up too on the second floor. Remember that?
Oh yeah. That's where my
Yeah.
dad got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I do remember that. And then sometimes we would go down to Altoona to the Logan Valley Mall. And that was like a two-story mall, if I remember right. The Nittany Mall in State College, I don't think that was two-story. I think that was just
I think it was big, huge one story. Yeah.
it was just humongous. That's where we went on our senior skip day. Remember? Were you there on that
Yep.
day?
Yep.
I bought I bought a lava lamp at Spencer's at the Nittany Mall. Still have it. But and I believe in the Logan Valley Mall they had a KB Toys, which I love KB. I was trying. I think it's there, or I don't think it was in Du Bois because I remember it being like up on the second floor. But KB was fun because it always had those like toys that were wind up or mechanical or something out front to like lure you in the store.
Oh
And
yeah.
I always remember going in KB and thinking there's like not enough space to walk. There was just like wall to wall toys, and even the shelves like went up to the. It seemed like to go up to the ceiling with those little pegs to hang figures or whatever on. It just seemed like it was so cramped in there. But out front they always had that ball with the weasel or ball with the ferret, whatever it was. You remember that thing that rolled around?
Oh yeah.
They'd always have one of those going around. It was like this huge table that had edges on the side so the stuff wouldn't roll off, but they would always have that thing rolling around out there. And then they had that toy that was the penguins that went up the stairs. Remember, they'd kind of go up, chug, chug, chug the stairs, and then they'd come down the slide, and then come right back down to the base of the stairs, and then they'd go back up again. They always had that toy out front too. That's when I think of the KB, I think of those two things, like being out front and being on as you walked in. I remember being there. I remember buying some like video games in KB Toys. I think maybe for my Master System or maybe later on when I had a Nintendo or something, or Genesis. But oh man, I love KB. I wish they'd bring KB back.
Oh, I know. I missed that. I think you mentioned it before. It's more like a warehouse looking thing. We
Yeah.
can compare it to JG Food Warehouse where, you just cut open a box, boom, put it on a shelf, and that was the decor of the time.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the way that KB reminded you of is, they'll open up the crate.
Yeah.
There you go. You to each their own. It wasn't the glamour of Toys R Us where everything was, just put so.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm trying to remember what else we had there. Up there, it was just so big, and then they actually added on. If
Mm-hmm.
you remember right. I don't remember. I mean, now they have like an Arby's and a few other places in there now, but before there wasn't that much there.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember going? I mean, you said Nittany Mall, but do you remember the at least for me, the awe of going to the Logan Valley Mall?
Yeah. I remember there was a trip I went and bought I bought the DJ Jazzy Jeff cassette. The one with Summertime on it. What was that one called? Home. I can't remember the name of the album. Anyway, I bought that cassette and
Of course, you asked me when I'm trying to find it. I don't have my cassettes here.
we listened to it on the way back.
Oh yeah.
And there was she was like on to me because there's that one song, I think it's on the second side, that's called "You Saw My Blinker."
Yeah,
And
it goes
there's a
on a
few,
little bit more than that,
yeah,
but
there's a few
yes.
choice words in there, and I remember my mom looking over at me like, "What in the world did you just buy? What happened to the Happy Summertime song?" But yeah, so
Oh,
yeah, that was like an experience. And I remember doing that a couple times where I seemed like I'd buy music down there and then I'd like listen to it on the way home because it was like 45-minute drive.
yeah, yeah. I don't remember being there only once or twice. I want to say it was for like the Christmas, to go shopping for Christmas or something. But I don't really remember being there for anything serious, except the nostalgia or the novelty rather of a two-story, mall. I mean, that was just wow, this exists. Just taken aback by that.
Yeah, I think we normally we hit both places. We hit the mall, and then we would hit Value City like on the way out, and made like a day of it. Just shopping. And I was trying to remember. I have a lot of like toys, or when I think of a store, a certain toy comes to mind that I bought there, but I can't place anything I bought at like Value City. But I know there was tons of toys there.
I re- we bought we bought our glass set of glasses there at my dad's. We bought that there. I want to say we bought a piece of furniture. Which one? I don't know. Maybe a couch or something.
Yeah,
Um, I don't
you had
remember
to haul
really.
it back. You remember hauling it back or something, or
Well, you would think I'd remember because we would have used Old Red, obviously.
hmm
But no, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember bringing it.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
that was good,
I
man. Yeah,
think that really rounds it out for
yeah.
us. I don't know if you can think of any more.
Not not just traditional department stores or anything. Those were like kind of it. We had the mall in our hometown, those few little places, Kmart and such, and then it was those long car rides to go to Altoona or State College to hit those other malls and some other stores a couple times a year. And it was usually based around what mom or dad was needed to buy, or if there was something that they couldn't get locally, we were headed there for a reason. But mom loved shopping, so I'm sure she went just to shop and have that experience
Oh yeah.
more more than just centered around, oh, I got to find this because it's not anywhere near where we are locally. So yeah, man, good times. All those trips in the car singing that Hills jingle, and I remember doing that. And
You
there was
know,
just something magical about it, almost, where yeah, we're going to Altoona, we're going to State College, we're
yeah.
gonna go to all these stores that we never get to go to. And Hills I remember specifically around like before Christmas, we went and they had a Nintendo and a Sega Master System set up side by side, and you could test it out. And I remember like waiting in line to try to play Super Mario Brothers, or just watching people play Super Mario Brothers was like a huge thing. And nobody wanted to touch the Sega Master System. Like it was just sitting there collecting dust. And I remember playing with it and trying it out, and actually that's what my parents got me. They didn't give me the Nintendo. They got me the Master System. So
Right.
it came with the 3D glasses, and it had the Outrun, which I loved Outrun, and I got a bunch of the sports games. But that was something that Hills did, I think, specifically more than some of the other stores, was they had stuff out that you could try, you
Right.
know. So that's what made it more magical, I guess.
That's it. It did. You're right. Uh,
Well, we want to talk about what we want to do for next time. I think is it
it's
my
your
turn?
turn. I picked this one, so it's your turn.
Oh boy.
I'm going through the list anyway because you usually somehow turn the tides on me somehow.
What have we been talking about the last couple of times? Trying to remember maybe something that we said we were going to do.
That's
Because I
what I'm
got
looking to see if we've talked anything. I
I
don't
got
think we've said anything too specific lately. We have talked a little bit about TV shows, but that's more been hit or miss. On this episode or on this segment,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about it more on Rediscovered.
Have we talked about our video games and stuff? We have not.
Entertainment consoles. We've hit it. We hit it in all these episodes. We always go somehow talk about it. Like tonight, I talked about my Texas Instruments.
Yeah, but we
So
haven't really gone into detail what games we had and the systems.
no,
Like I said, I had the Master System, which was pretty unique for the time. Everybody else had Nintendo.
I could
We
dig up
could
my
do
Texas Instruments. I don't know that I could hook it up, but I could.
play a little Hunt the Wampus. Uh,
Don't get me. I want to get it out, but I'm running. So I did a crazy thing. You say that because of space. That's why I'm saying that. Guy on Facebook was selling his CD collection for $50. So I thought it was a steal, except that it's all in that bin,
mm-hmm.
and there's zipped CD cases, and
Oh, nice.
some of them are actually like what we had at. If you remember, now my cable's caught. Now that I did that. Come on, let the laptop down. Do you remember our monthly subscription at QIX?
Yeah.
The guy actually has some of those.
You're kidding me.
Not from like it's like 2000, but he has some of those type of things. I'm like,
That's
oh,
funny.
dude. So, but yeah, I do want to hook up my computer somehow, and I still have the carts for it. We could talk about that. I'm all game for that. I was just toying with the idea, because you do this at the beginning, his something to your whatever,
Mm-hmm.
famous lines that we can recall that seem to stand the test of times. We always talk about what you talk about, Willis,
Mm-hmm.
but the commercials like melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Dynamite. Some of these that's kicked up in my head a couple times.
So like slogans and movie lines and stuff.
Yeah, in fact, someone just said something a couple days ago at work. They said we're halfway there. It was Wednesday. We're halfway there. I couldn't help but say we're living on a prayer. She just started rolling like, you did not just say that. I said, hey, you got an 80s fan in here. Don't get me started. So
yeah, that could be something. I'm kind of leaning towards the video games.
okay, video games it is.
We can talk about how we got into the home consoles. We could talk about our favorites at the arcade. I already mentioned some tonight, and yeah, we could stroll back to Beefs too a little bit, talk about some of those games, and just kind of dive in because I think you're right. We've hit games in this episode. We've hit games in a couple other episodes, and we've never had one to put it all together. So let's do that next time.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate everybody listening, and again, we're trying to get one out maybe at least once a month back in the Rediscover the 80 studio, and whether it's we did that Rediscovered on Ghostbusters recently, and now we're back to Memory Jogger, and we'll try to zip back and forth between those and keep episodes coming monthly at least. So just appreciate everybody listening, and if you want to comment, just go out to YouTube. A lot of people comment there, or you can tweet us. I'm at RD80s. He's at InfamousWB. Would love to get your feedback on this show in particular. What department stores kind of connected with you? Maybe we talked about tonight, and do you have any specific memories of visiting? Was there anything magical about it, like we kind of hinted at? I would love to hear your comments on that.
right? Like Jason said, just please feel free to hit us up on our social media, especially rediscoverthe80s.com. And until then, we we have been living in a galaxy far, far away. But remember, we ain't found. So we're going through the Star Wars thing right now. So, but I can't help but do the analogy with Spaceballs. So, but anyway,
Calm the desert. Yeah, we're gonna have to do the movie lines at some point because oh my gosh, there's a ton of Spaceballs that I could just.
yeah,
Anyway,
yep. And until then, thank you once again for uh, tuning in and being with us on as we run it down a dream on Memory Jogger.
and we're out. Thank you everybody for watching.
Yes, and I was not prepared for that again. I was not prepared for my lines. I don't know why. I'm like, what can I say? What can I say? Wait,
Put it in
wait.
your notes.
I started typing in a galaxy far, far away because I hear my family's watching episode 5 right now. And when I started saying it, it was literally it came right in with the Spaceballs analogy.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So
Lost the bleeps, lost the sweeps, lost the creeps. The what? The what? The what?
You know, the bleeps. I had that somewhere.
That's not always lost.
I had that somewhere. I don't know if it'll come through here. I don't want to test it.
You probably have to
I
do
just
the
want to
screen
test if it
share.
works because my system's not.
Pull up your screen share because I think it'll do it if you're tapped into that.
Okay. Got to turn on.
Play the.
Of course, it hasn't been working tonight, so.
That's true.
There it is. Let's see if it works.
Nope.
No. And the creeps. Did it come through?
No, it didn't. At least not that I've heard.
I had it on loop, so I was hoping it would catch up. So, sorry, gang, because I'm not hooked up through my
There it
picture.
is. I see it now. Now try playing it.
Okay. Because I turned it off.
Right.
No?
Nope. Didn't come through.
Wait. I just saw the button. I just saw the suite. There. Now, why did you quit?
Skype. Fix your screen share.
No, on my end, it actually just muted.
Oh, it muted on your end?
Come on. Wake up.
I can see your screen.
It completely muted. How does that happen?
I don't know. All right, well we'll sign off.
Sorry, guys.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.